I, Dr. Flavian Zeija, swear in the name of the Almighty God that I will well and truly exercise the judicial functions entrusted to me.
The newly sworn Chief Justice of Uganda, Flavian Zeija, steps into the nation's highest judicial office at a moment when the rule of law is both tested and demanded. He took the oath on Saturday.
Without fear or favor, affection or ill will, so help me God.
In a ceremony held at President Museveni's country home in Kisozi, in Gomba district, he replaces Alphonse Owinyidolo, who has since retired. Zeija assumes office at a time when the relationship between the judiciary and the Uganda Law Society is in limbo.
The president of the Uganda Law Society is in exile, and there are several cases of the Uganda Law Society that are in the Court of Appeal. The most notable one being when Judge Sekana passed a sentence of 2 years against the president, and the president had to flee into exile. But then again, there were also cases that are decided by the same judge to the effect that Uganda Law Society cannot hold elections, we cannot hold a general meeting, and we run to the Court of Appeal. Now, sometime in July, we are lucky to have our appeals cause listed. Those cases that are affecting the governance of the ULS cause listed for hearing and for trial.
2 days later, the cases were removed from the cause list in what Uganda Law Society Vice President says was a shocking twist of events, yet they had been convinced that they would get a remedy from a higher court.
Unfortunately, when I did write we officially wrote to the then Deputy Chief Justice, who is now the newly appointed CJ, to intervene because he's the head of the Court of Appeal. He responded himself, saying he's the one who ordered the cases to be removed from the cause list. And, the confrontation or the nature of the write-up was really unfortunate because it appeared like, a fight between the court and the Uganda Law Society. It really were just putting across our concerns in a civil manner, saying, hey, this is court and the registrar has no power. But the way he responded and the way he treated us and the way he assured us that our cases will never be cause listed until after I don't know how many all the other cases which have been there before have been heard, it was really not justified.
Whereas both the judiciary and the Uganda Law Society share a constitutional mandate to uphold the rule of law, the interactions have lately been shaped by public disagreements over judicial independence, access to justice, and the conduct of courts in politically sensitive matters.
The judiciary is not independent at all. We've seen how they are taking sides, especially in political cases, in other cases where people have interests as against the citizens, things to do with integrity. We've seen increased corruption. We've seen even the basic rights they should protect. For example, bail, right to bail, has completely been abused during this time.
Now, Uganda Law Society hopes the new Chief Justice will work towards restoring judiciary's trust among members of the public, because in recent years, segments of the public have increasingly expressed a loss of confidence in Uganda's judiciary, citing perceptions of delayed justice and inconsistency in rulings.
Our worry is that, considering the previous conduct, we cannot say that, okay, this is really positive, but we are hoping that maybe he looks at a bigger picture and tries to fight for the judiciary to be in a place where it is supposed to be by rebuilding the integrity, by fighting that corruption, the laziness, the incompetence of judicial officers from the top to the bottom. We've seen the things they do, and also reminding them or ensuring that the judiciary goes back to the basics of independence. I know it is very hard for independence because we've seen the nature of appointment, we're seeing the swearing in and how everything has happened. It's like the judiciary, just like most other institutions, is under state capture. So what we wait to see is how the new CJ gets the judiciary out of state capture, where judicial officers have to give decisions and judgments, not because they are fair, not because it is what the law is, or not because it's what it's supposed to be, but just to impress the people in power, the people have put them in those offices.
Whereas Zeija has already been confirmed as the new Chief Justice of Uganda, some legal minds argue that President Museveni appointed him unlawfully.
The framers of our constitution, under Article 98, said that a person holding an office of the president, that's not to say that Museveni is valid or legitimate in office, but someone can come and occupy that office the same way I occupied it. But they said that person shall have immunity. But the same framers, when they went to Articles 104, 107, they said that immunity shall cease the moment an election is held and it is contested. Now that immunity ceased, the Dekasibante filed a petition, which some of us think it is not so strong, not well intended, but it was filed. So Museveni ceased to have immunity. Now, interpreting the Constitution as a whole, you must balance that with the power of that person to name a person to be Chief Justice. Now, when you balance it, you just come to a conclusion that the moment a person becomes a respondent, a party to a case already filed in court, that person cannot have powers again to name who is going to preside over that case.
He argues that even his appointment was done secretly, denying members of the public a chance to raise their complaints against him if they had any reservations, as it has been the case over the years.
No transparency, no media. Then Article 89 of the Constitution says that the decisions of Parliament shall be by voting by majority. No plenary of Parliament has ever sat since Zeija met that committee. So even if you say the report maybe is not tabled, but the report must be tabled when Parliament is sitting. Ordinarily it would have been debated. In Kenya and elsewhere, a name is debated on the floor of Parliament, and people agree should he pass or not. From there, Museveni says he's appointed. So he's acting on whose decision? Because Parliament makes decisions when it sits. It sits and makes what? Decisions. So to that extent, Zeija's appointment is null and void.
The task ahead for Chief Justice Flavian Zeija is clear: to lead a judiciary that meets the expectations of a public eager for justice that works for all. Daniel Kibet, NTV.
Thank you so much.